Hey guys, this is Postdoc Chronicle week number 116, and today we're featuring a game released October 30 on the Nintendo Switch. What is this game? Let's play it and let's look at the game. What could this game be? October 30, check it out. He's gonna take you back to the past to play some shitty games that suck ass. He'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in his ear. He'd rather eat the rotten asshole of a roadkill skunk and down it with beer. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. He's the angry Atari Sega nerd. He's the angry video game nerd. Alright, so the angry video game nerd on the Nintendo Switch, like I said, released last October 30. And of course, this was released a long time ago, Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. This is basically the part one on the deluxe version on the 3DS. One of my absolute favorites on the 3DS. So if you don't know Angry Video Game Nerd, he's like a YouTube, character or phenomenon from the channel called Cine Massacre, which happens to be my favorite YouTube channel of all time. James Rolfe, the guy who led the team, is also a very cool human being. But basically, they talk about video games, comics, movies, etc., and all other nerd stuff. But the series that I love from the channel is the Angry Video Game Nerd. He's been doing this since like mid 2000s or something, I believe, as early as 2006. And what he does basically is, he looks at like old games and then shitty games, and then he reviews it, and then the episodes are full of profanity and swearing and stuff, and it's really funny, and you learn a lot, mechanics of different games and so on. And yeah, it's very entertaining. You should check it out by James Rolfe. In fact, they even have like a movie, and Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie. It's very good. Well, the video game is basically based on the various characters that you encounter in that series, Angry Video Game Nerd, on the YouTube, like stuff like Shit Pickle, Bugs Bunny, and so on. And basically in these games, these are like retro inspired games. You have your usual like shmup style games, the usual platformer, and then they're like an homage or a what they call parody of like well-known games. For example, you have Castlevania, and here they have Assholevania and stuff like that, and it's pretty hard. And in here they added like a lot of difficulties. Like, it's insane. Like, you can have a 1cc, like one life. When you die, you have to start all over from the beginning. So to be honest, I only played the first one, this one, the Angry Video Game Nerd on the 3DS, and that's why I'm interested about from here, is because it contains part two. So in fact, James Rolfe called this the Angry Video Game Remastered. Okay, so it's like a wordplay of a third and remastered. But anyway, yeah, so it has a part two, and then there's like an unlockable third game. I don't know what that is about, but I'm really excited to play it here because I love like retro style games, and then this one has a lot of like parodies of the entire gaming culture that we know, especially from the all the 18-bit and 16-bit era. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Check it out, Angry Video Game Nerd, a new game on the Nintendo Switch. It's also on Steam if that's where you prefer to play your game. But anyway, let's go to Postdoc. So recently, last week, I've been busy doing the implementation, of the S button search. I already gave Christoph, one of the main authors of CheckMATE, the code that I implemented on the S button. Even though we still have issues on the validation of the signal region B and signal region C, there are still some problems left, but I'm still trying to solve that. And then also it intersects with our MUED paper, because in the MUED we already have like some benchmark points, I believe 6 points, and then Roberto is scanning the rest of them, because like I mentioned before, my laptop does not have the enough disk space to handle the matching case, which produces lots and lots of hard disk space. I could have done it on my computer in my office, but yeah, I haven't returned yet to Witwatersrand. But anyway, I did the no matching cases, doing the matching one, and then so we have an exclusion plot for no matching, and then the benchmark points for the matching case. Jong mentioned that it's important that we include the latest Monojet search. It's a conference note from Atlas. I believe they released it August 2020 this year, so just very recent. And then it's very relevant since in the old paper where there are like these Indian guys who also did a scan for MUED like a few years back in PLD, and then what they did, so one of the things that we want to point out is they did the PITHIA only, no matching, and then again there will be uncertainties if you do that when you change the power the shower settings. But anyway, they used one of the stronger searches, the most sensitive search when you go to a lower values of lambda r, which corresponds to a smaller mass splittings, is the monojet search. The search it tends to be very strong at that particular region of the phase space. So in the current one, it's not yet implemented in CheckMATE. So I was tasked. Jong told me to implement that monojet search, because there's an old implementation from the, I believe, a smaller number of events, I believe around 40 or something inverse femtobarns, and then the current one has around 140 or something like that inverse femtobarns, the August 2020. So Jong told me, it's easy to implement it because there's like an older code, just same cut flow, just input the newer observed and expected values from the new conference paper. But then it turns out that Christoph is already did it, so the only thing missing is validation. So if he asks me if I can do the validations, I'm gonna do that. The new thing about this validation is, I'm used to the only things that I've validated so far are published results of Atlas and CMS, and usually if they have published results, they have the corresponding data in hepdata.net. And so I can, look at the specific cut flows. In here, since it's a conference note, yet there's no corresponding entry in HEP data, and so there are no cut flows that I can look at. But Jong said I can, instead of comparing cut flows to do the validation, I can instead, look at the benchmark points near the exclusion line that they have on the conference paper and see if it matches with the implementation that Christoph did. So that's what I'm doing. And then, of course, I'm also learning. Jong told me to learn GitHub. So I'm familiar with GitHub. In fact, we have like GitLab in CERN. And then I'm also familiar with GitHub because there are a lot of like hacks or translations or patches and stuff like that in the in the homebrew or retro scene, or like for example in stuffs like for the PS Vita or 3DS or the Nintendo Switch. And then usually hackers, when they do their patches or translations or hacks, etc., they usually upload their stuff on GitHub. So I'm a bit familiar with GitHub, but I don't have an account there yet. And then Jong told me to make an account and then be familiar with how to do the commands, like how to clone, how to commit, and how to pull or push and stuff like that, how to make forks, how to do branches, so that I can because currently the newest build of CheckMATE is in fact in GitHub. There's like a private build there. And then Jong said once I make my GitHub account, which I'm doing, he's gonna give me the CheckMATE, and then I'm gonna make my own fork and then do my own edition on my changes on my own branch. And then that way, if I implement another searches, it will be easy to push it to the main build of CheckMATE once the main authors approve it. And of course, so currently what I did is we're doing it manually since I don't have a GitHub account yet. So I manually gave the cc.cc file of my analysis implementation to Christoph himself, and then also the variable files that contains the observed and expected data from the S-bottom search that I already implemented. But anyway, yeah, that's the update. None so far. So next week I think I'm gonna focus on my qualification task and PMSSM, because I believe I'm up for a talk again for PMSSM this coming Friday. So I'm gonna focus on that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This has been Postdoc Chronicles week number 116, and it's November 1. So happy Halloween. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.